Welcome to Ralston Reports. We'll bring in newsmakers and commentary you won't find anywhere else. Early voting for the primary election begins 2 weeks from tomorrow. We are helping to enlighten you by bringing you debates in some key races that could be decided in the primary. But some candidates don't think they have an obligation to make their case to the voters. Take State Senate Minority Leader Michael Roberson. He was a maverick in the last session of the legislature, advocating a mining tax to head off a broad-based business tax. Now he refuses to talk about it or anything else right here in a debate with his primary opponent. And he's advised his hand-picked candidate for another seat, political newcomer Becky Harris, to do the same. Harris won't even return my producer's phone calls, let alone take part in a debate. What is going on here? This is the friendliest show in America. Senate District 9 is in southwest Las Vegas. It includes the communities of Southern Highlands, Mountain's Edge, Rhodes Ranch, The Ridges, and Sienna. In a moment, we'll hear from Carl Bunce, who's challenging Michael Roberson. But first, joining me to talk about his race against the elusive Becky Harris, State Senate candidate Vic Gill. Welcome to the program.
John, thank you for having me.
Appreciate your willingness to come on. You are actually running a television ad against your opponent, Becky Harris. It's a pretty small buy. I think it's only running on a network I can't name. But I do want to show people what you're saying about Becky Harris. Let's run that ad.
One election could decide historic tax
I think
hikes.
it's the most important race in Nevada.
One critical vote, two different candidates. Becky Harris, a liberal lawyer, willing to raise taxes, who voted for liberal Democrats.
Yeah, I was registered as a Democrat.
The conservative alternative, Vic Gill, lifelong Republican, healthcare expert who will fight Obamacare and oppose tax hikes. Vic Gill, the Republican choice for State Senate.
You think it was a good idea to use Rory Reid in that commercial? I'm kidding. Here's my serious question for you. This tax pledge, this drives me nuts. Why sign a tax pledge? We might as well be electing robots if you're going to sign a tax pledge saying you'll never raise taxes. Why did you sign it?
Well, John, it's not so much about the tax pledge. It's about the issue of taxes. There's a distinct difference between me and my opponent in this race. I do not support increasing taxes on hardworking Nevadans, small businesses, and families here in the state. I fundamentally believe the government should be more accountable, more transparent with the taxpayer dollars that they have. And I wanted voters in my district to know that. I also wanted them to know the fact that I am a lifelong Republican. My opponent is a longtime Democrat who voted for Obamacare Democrats. But I do believe...
How do you know who she voted for?
Well, as a Democrat, presumably she would have voted for Obamacare Democrats in the primary, and I think it's an important question maybe you could have asked her if she'd been on the show.
Well, I just think you're assuming a lot. Is it a crime to switch parties? What was that guy's name all you Republicans love? Oh, yeah, Ronald Reagan. Didn't he used to be a Democrat, too? He saw the light. Maybe Becky Harris saw the light.
John, it's important for the Republican Party to be a Big Tent party. I support the party to be a Big Tent party, but when it comes to our elected leaders, I believe that we need to have elected leaders who are going to stand on principle, stand on efficient, accountable government, not raising taxes. I fundamentally believe that will be an important issue in this election. I will not raise taxes on the hardworking people of this great state, and my opponent is open to do so as part of the Carson City backroom budget deal.
How do you know she's open to raising taxes? To the best of my knowledge, I mean, I don't know where she stands on anything since she's not here, but how do you know she wants to raise taxes?
Well, it's an interesting question, John, but she actually talked about this in our district. We had in Sienna, as you mentioned, which is a large part of the district. She said that she was open and is having conversations with the Republican caucus on a tax hike. And I think it's important for her to explain to the voters. I wish she would have come on the show to explain exactly what those conversations look like. But the people in my district, I fundamentally believe, do not support increasing taxes. They want more accountability, more efficiency from their government.
You know, everybody who runs for office, especially first-time candidates, talks about more accountability, efficiency. You live in the real world, though. You're a doctor, you're a medical professional, you're a small businessman. At some point, you have to fund services. That takes money.
Right.
Why would you say you're never, ever going to raise taxes when there might be a situation where you might have to?
Well, that statement comes on the backdrop of the tax reform. You can reform the tax code. I believe you've talked about reforming the tax code. You can.
Thanks for listening.
As long as, John, it's in a revenue-neutral form.
Why? Why? You're saying the state funds everything exactly the level it should be funded at right now?
Well, John, I would say this. I don't think that the public sector operates much like the private sector does, because it's fundamentally not their money they're spending, it's our money. And I think by saying that we're not going to raise taxes, we will bring accountability to the government. It will force the government to make tough decisions, basically fund programs that they think are working. Those that are not, they're going to have to make hard choices. And I think the people in Nevada want their government to make those difficult choices.
Why did you decide you wanted to run? I know you thought about running in 2012, decided against it. Now you're running this time. What makes a guy like you want to run for the legislature?
Well, John, I've fundamentally seen the same thing you have from our legislature, a dysfunctional legislature, one in which many people go to Carson City and they're not there to support the people's interest but their own interest. I'm just like anybody else, everyday Nevadan. I work here as a healthcare professional, working to manage medical practices, working on behalf of patients and veterans, and I've seen the difficulties that people have faced, and I've seen the inactivity of the legislature, the inability to address the critical issues. For me, it is health care. For me, it is growing the economy and improving our schools. And I think I want to go to Carson City to affect real change, to work with Democrats and Republicans in order to improve the life of everyday Nevadans.
So you say you want to work with Democrats and Republicans, but I guess one way to look at your candidacy is you're the guy over here on the right running against someone you're accusing essentially of being too far on the left. Michael Roberson, who was anointed the other candidate, anointed you in 2012 before you decided not to run. Essentially, he's a guy who said, you know what, I'm going to work with the Democrats. That might involve tax increases. It might involve compromises. You sound like you're a guy who's going to be like out here, never voting with anybody. Maybe there's going to be a lot of 20-to-1 votes if Vic Gill's up there. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, John, let's take a look at the issue of education. I think this is an issue that does not affect not only Republicans, Democrats, and independents. When a father or mother sends their child to school, they don't worry about it being a Republican school or a Democratic school. They want a school that works. I think we can come together as legislatures. I support fixing the broken funding formula here in Nevada so that Southern Nevada can get their fair share. That would improve a lot of the issues in regards to funding. I support a medical school here in Nevada in regards to our health care environment. Studies have shown that all Nevadans, Democrat, Republican, Independent, will benefit from that to the tune of $1 billion. And it will improve our health care here in Nevada, have more primary care physicians, specialists, and give patients more choice. So there are issues on health care and education and obviously growing our economy that we could work together.
I know you're very interested in health care, being a doctor and a medical professional. When we come back, I want to talk to you about your patient bill of rights. And Dr. Vic Gill has something to say about Obamacare as well. I bet he doesn't like it. I'm just guessing here. You'll see how smart I am when we return. Stick around.